Across Africa, endangered animals like rhinos, lions and elephants are being hunted steadily closer to extinction. But there's a ray of hope: the booming industry in wildlife tourism. South Africa was once the main drawcard for shooters hunting the prized Big Five among game animals. Today it hosts more than 10,000 game reserves and a billion-dollar tourist industry. Africa correspondent Ginny Stein reports.
Mala Mala is known worldwide for the frequency and consistency of its big game sightings. It's what brings well-heeled tourists to seek their out-of-Africa moment.
We produce the Big Five virtually every day, so you just got to drive. If they're here, you just got to confront them. And I don't think you can push one species just ahead of the others.
Lions, leopards, elephants, rhinos and Cape buffalo, they're all here and in abundance. Africa's most dangerous animal, the Cape buffalo, is also the least endangered of the Big Five. Prized by hunters, its natural predators are few and their numbers are decreasing. But it wasn't always this way. This was once a premier hunting destination. The rich, the powerful and the connected all came here.
I think there's about 30 or 40 there. See, there's one lot on the left.
But that was before owner Michael Rattray, a one-time hunter, bought out his brothers.
That old lion there, I shot him over 60 years ago. And because my father, property up the road, was bringing in the rhinos, an old lion was jumping over the fence and causing havoc.
The former shooter is now a conservationist. He bought up land with the aim of making a difference.
You can squeeze your finger on a trigger that way or that way. That way you see the animal tomorrow. That way you see its bones and skins and things.
The decision to stop hunting was a brave one. The harsh reality is that for most game farm owners in South Africa, wildlife is worth more dead than alive. 75% of revenues in this $1 billion industry come from hunting.
In general, one talks about if it pays, it stays. Nobody can afford to run a farm just for the animals, yeah.
Peter Oberum says the Rattray's decision to ban hunting was one that most game farm owners could not afford to make.
The majority of game farms in South Africa are either owned by professionals who have the farm as a hobby, or it's owned by people who live on that farm and must make a living from that farm. So there's very few of them that would be there just for the sake of conservation.
The early years were tough, wildlife was scarce, but there's been a generational change. Animals no longer fear humans who come to watch.
It took about 6-7 years before we started seeing leopards regularly, and they found the game drive vehicle wasn't an enemy.
This game reserve is now considered one of the world's best when it comes to viewing game through a lens. What's on the menu for today?
Everything that crosses the path is one thing, and besides that, leopards and hippos.
Henny Van Heerden is a professional photographer. She's here with one animal in mind.
It's leopards. Here you can, well, almost touch them. And it's awesome. Every time you come here, there are so many leopards around and you get such beautiful shots. It's magnificent.
5 to Nick.
Grant Rood works half the year as a professional hunter, the other half as a game ranger.
There's been a pair of leopards found in the southern parts of the reserve, a male and a female, and they've been mating. So we're going to head down there.
Leopards are solitary animals, except for when they're mating. Catching leopards in the act, I'm told, is a rare treat.
I'm born and bred in Africa, and I've lived in Central Africa, and I've seen a few leopards. But very rarely have I seen a leopard doing what it did yesterday, mating. And it was a very special experience, and rare.
Each encounter may not last long, but leopards mate repeatedly for days. You've got to be a pretty relaxed leopard, don't you, to be able to hang about, have sex in front of a group of people?
Look, I have to be careful what I say, but it makes 50 Shades of Grey look like beginner stuff. So if you ever get the chance, one could learn a thing or two.
At Mala Mala there appears no shortage of wildlife, but across the continent it's a different story. Across Africa, lions are disappearing at an alarming rate. More than 2/3 have disappeared in the past 50 years. In South Africa, more rhinos have been poached in this past year than in any other. And there are warnings now that African elephants could all be gone within the next 10 to 15 years if efforts aren't made to stop their slaughter. Michael Rattray believes he's been lucky, a case of right place, right time.
It was a lucky decision. The only thing I'd learnt about economics was that you must deal in things that are in short supply. The Big Five game land was in short supply. And I understood that and I knew it. So that seemed the logic way to go.
His hope now is that his legacy will survive.